The Night Lords, distinguished by their ruthless and terror-inducing strategies on the battlefield, were led by the enigmatic Konrad Kurze, a Primarch who instilled fear in not only their enemies, but also among their own ranks. Unlike other Adeptus Astartes legions with their codes of conduct and noble battle doctrines, the Night Lords stood apart. Each legionnaire, far from being a prideful and fearless warrior, became a harbinger of terror, employing any means necessary, even the most heinous and distorted, to achieve their objectives. In stark contrast to the traditional ideals upheld by other Space Marine legions, the Night Lords embraced a cowardly and depraved approach to warfare, avoiding confrontations unless they held overwhelming advantages. This unique perspective, turning what some might consider the worst scum in the Imperium into Space Marines, makes them particularly special. The Night Lords' disdain for conventional battle norms set them apart during the Great Crusade, yielding positive results as entire systems surrendered out of sheer dread at the thought of the Night Lords being unleashed upon their populations. This unconventional and terrifying aspect makes them a fascinating, albeit grim, force. Today we discuss the most depraved, perverted, and cowardly legion of all. The VIIIth Legion, born amidst the grim brutality of ancient terror, emerged from the blood-soaked depths of the linked prison sinks. In these lightless caverns, remnants of a bygone era crushed beneath the weight of millennia, the Legion's earliest recruits were drawn from those condemned to perpetual darkness for transgressions against their masters. Within these lawless subterranean realms, only the strongest and most ruthless thrived. The subjugated millions, constantly replenished from the hive cities above, turned the prison sinks into a ceaseless cauldron of madness and murder. Amidst this relentless brutality, a unique group emerged, the Night's Children, born in the shadows and raised in the embrace of death. Even the most savage killers avoided them by choice, recognizing an otherworldly quality in their silent, pale existence. It was from these eerie offspring that the Emperor of Mankind forged the inaugural warriors of the VIIIth Legion. Distinguished by an ashen or powdered bone-like pallor, they differed significantly from their Legion brethren in demeanor and appearance. The gene seed, meticulously paired with the human stock of the initial Terran recruits, seemed almost custom-made for them. Beyond accentuating their ghostly complexion, the gene seed bestowed upon the sons of the Terran underworld a remarkable ability to see through darkness, surpassing that of Astartes from other legions. Yet, this gift carried a curse. They were compelled to filter and buffer the light of suns and stars, perpetually walking in an eternal night, despite existing in the world above's daylight. The Emperor's initial directive for his VIIIth Legion was to subdue those who clung to the notion that the sins of the past could endure in the nascent Imperium of man. Some who pledged allegiance did so out of a perceived lack of choice, while others, scarred by the rise and fall of techno-barbarian empires during Old Night, considered themselves part of another fleeting arrangement. Crimes against the New Order manifested in various forms, from the hidden gene atrocities of the Saragorn Enclave to the psi-breeding of the Court of Antaeus and the March of 10 Million. These transgressions underscored that despite the Emperor's might, some reverted to the forbidden ways of Old Night. When more than crushing was needed, the Emperor deployed his nascent VIIIth Legion. Such tasks resonated with the early VIIIth Legion, shaped by their genetic inheritance, Terran prison sink origins, and imperial indoctrination. They leaned toward moral absolution and a relentless drive for punishment. Justice, from the barrel of a bolter, brought clarity, cold, indifferent, and unwavering. The warriors of the unnamed VIIIth Legion were always beings of darkness, embodying the spirit of retribution and always clinging to the shadows. Much like their gene father, the Night Haunter. The arrival of Conrad Kurz to the VIIIth Legion is often seen as the turning point, but the seeds of the Night Lord's descent into treachery were sown in the dark world of Nostramo. Kurza, the Gene Sire, was heavily influenced by his infancy in this harsh hellscape of a planet. While the Emperor's true intentions for him remain unknown, Nostramo's influence was obviously clear, a sunless hive world steeped in suffering, corruption, and perpetual darkness. Nostramo, a hub of industry fueled by adamantine ore, suffered beneath pollution-clogged skies. Wealthy elites, cloaked in dim blue illumination, lived in spires while the majority endured poverty, depression, and mental illness. Suicide rates were high and violence ruled the streets. Gangs, named or not, held sway from nobility to slums. In the mines and factories, ruthless gangs enforced order akin to slavery. Corrupt criminal groups controlled every inch, ruling through fear and brutality. In the mines, organizations like the Iron Overseers and the Sons of Toil maintained control, while in wealthier areas, the nobility's offspring were as deadly as they were extravagant. All owed fealty to higher powers, creating a hierarchical web of cruelty. Nostramo, shrouded in darkness, knew only the language of violence. Whether in the slums or the halls of the nobility, the rulers and criminal overlords were one, a merciless monarchy built on sin. In the harrowing landscape of Nostramo's lawless domains, Conrad Kurza faced a world steeped in darkness and chaos. It was a realm where depravity festered and vice ruled every crumbling alleyway. Recognizing the festering malignancy of his surroundings, Kurz enacted his twisted vision of order, an order built upon unrelenting cruelty and unforgiving justice. Every street corner echoed with the sound of his brutal retribution, a symphony of violence that spared no transgressor. From the lowly pickpocket to the most heinous murderer, none evaded the relentless pursuit of Kurza's twisted justice. Blood-soaked streets bore witness to his merciless campaign, each drop of spilled life forming a macabre mosaic of his severe brand of law. The city, once a labyrinth of lawlessness, became a charnel ground where crows feasted upon the remains of those who dared defy his decree. The very air whispered with the morbid tale of his enforcement, a chilling reminder that within the macerated remnants of society lay the grim testament to Kurza's relentless pursuit of order, a twisted vision born from the heart of darkness itself. In the shadowy annals of the Great Crusade, Kurza swiftly embraced the doctrines of the Imperium. Under the guidance of Primarch Fulgrim, he became the formidable leader of the Night Lords, a legion forged from his own genetic stock. Excelling in numerous theaters of war, a distinct trait emerged, an unwavering commitment to ruthless and decisive force. Kurz molded his legion into a relentless and humorless force, akin to witch hunters in their fanatical thoroughness. Encouraging his legionnaires to adorn their power armor with fear-inducing symbols, Kurza's tactic proved exceedingly effective. The mere whisper of the Night Lord's impending presence coerced rogue star systems to pay imperial tithes, quell uprisings, and eliminate mutants and suspected traitors under penalty of death. The reunion of Primarch and Legion marked the genesis of a dark descent for the Night Lords. With Kurza's departure, Nostramo reverted to lawlessness, feeding the VIIIth Legion not with the finest youth, but with blood-soaked gutter scum. Some argue this tainted the Legion, turning many Night Lords into mere murderers with the strength of demigods. Yet, this oversimplification ignores critical factors such as the Night Haunters' continued leadership. Far from curbing the Legion's brutality, Kurz propelled it forward, bringing a twisted form of peace through atrocities. The Night Lords, once monsters of necessity, transformed into entities that reveled in cruelty. The Night Haunter's grip on his legion's savagery loosened, and the visions of a dark future haunting him grew more vivid. During the Great Crusade, the Night Lords, employed as a terror instrument by the Emperor, compelled compliance on recently conquered planets. Their fearsome reputation led rebellious governors to pay tithes promptly, as the Night Lords were known to issue exterminatus orders for even the pettiest crimes. Concerns about the VIIIth Legion and Curz's apparent instability troubled the Emperor, but what measures were taken to restrain them remains unclear. Words, demands, and threats echoed, but no decisive action was evident, leaving the Imperium to bear the consequences. The chain of the Night Lord's atrocities stretched, culminating in the Night Haunter's betrayal, a descent into darkness inevitable for the Legion, shaped by a father haunted by righteousness and his own abominable foresight. In the midst of the escalating tensions surrounding the Night Lord's extreme tactics, a shadow of doubt lingered over whether the Emperor had tacitly approved of their brutal methods. Some of the other Primarchs, a brotherhood from which Konrad Curze felt alienated, began questioning the Legion's increasingly severe actions. Fulgrim, however, remained a steadfast ally. As the rift between Curze and his brothers deepened, he sought counsel from Fulgrim, revealing a chilling vision of the Emperor killing him and a future marked by Astartes turning against each other. This revelation set off a chain of events that culminated in a violent clash between Curze and Rogel Dawn. In the aftermath, Curze found himself under arrest and awaiting judgment by the other Primarchs. Yet before the conclave could convene, news reached Curze of the resurgence of crime and corruption on Nostramo, his forsaken homeworld. Seizing this opportunity, he defiantly escaped confinement, leaving a trail of Imperial fists and Emperor's children in his wake. Reuniting with his legion, Curze embarked on a vengeful journey to Nostramo, the planet that had betrayed him. There, he ordered a devastating bombardment, obliterating the world that once bore witness to his torment. The Night Lords, now rogue and unrestrained, found themselves entangled in the unfolding Horus Heresy. Despite their renegade status, the Night Lords were paradoxically deployed alongside loyalist Astartes during the Istvan campaign, tasked with exterminating traitorous legions. The aftermath of the drop site massacre saw the Night Lords turning eastward, launching a seemingly unfocused genocidal campaign. However, their fleet suffered a severe setback during the Thramas Crusade, ambushed by the Dark Angels and leaving Curze incapacitated. In the wake of the Thramas Crusade, Sevatar took charge of regrouping the Night Lords who had scattered across Ultima Segmentum. While Curze remained stranded, elements of the Legion continued their chaotic spree, exemplified by the Battle of Sotha and internal power struggles aboard the Nightfall. The pursuit of Curze led the Dark Angels to Macragge, where Lionel Johnson confronted and subdued the Night Haunter. His capture marked a turning point as the Imperium Secundus leaders, including Guilliman and Sanguinius, decided to dispose of Curze. Frozen in stasis, he was cast adrift into the void of deep space. Elements of the Night Lords also joined forces with Horus during the Siege of Terra. The Night Lords' relentless campaign persisted after Horus's downfall, making the High Lords of Terra deeply apprehensive. While other legions were decimated or retreated to the Eye of Terror, the Night Lords, remarkably cohesive and maintaining pre-heresy numbers, posed a menacing challenge to the Imperial authorities. Simultaneously, their former stronghold in the Nostramo sector faced mysterious assaults from an unknown adversary. Konrad Curze, foreseeing his assassination throughout his life, willingly embraced his fate on the world of Tsagwalsa, where the Night Lords had constructed a grotesque fortress. To Curze, this act validated his life's philosophy and every drastic measure he had taken to uphold it. Prior to his demise, Curze directed that his assassin be allowed to complete her mission and escape, purportedly passing leadership to Jo Sahal, the Talon Master and first captain of the Legion. However, these directives weren't fully executed. A Night Lord named the Soul Hunter, an apothecary from the 10th Company, relentlessly pursued the assassin, disregarding Kurze's orders. His solo pursuit gained reinforcement from several senior officers of the Legion when it was discovered that the assassin had seized some of Kurze's belongings entrusted to the Legion's command cadre. Among these officers was Jo Sahal, seeking to claim the Corona Nox, a symbol of Kurze's authority. However, Sahal's pursuit was interrupted by an attack from Eldar raiders, leading to his disappearance into the warp. The Soul Hunter, in the grim fashion of the Night Lords, executed the assassin. With Kurze's death and the leadership in disarray, the Night Lords fractured into disparate war bands, mirroring their original Legion Company structure. These remnants eventually gravitated toward the Eye of Terror, where attempts to unify the broken Legion under leaders like Jo Sahal and Decimus failed, leaving them fractured and scattered. And there you have it, folks. The most perverted and cowardly Legion in all its glory. The Night Lords are intriguing due to their sadistic and criminal nature, running counter to what most other legions would find acceptable. They represent a dark reflection and mockery of the more honor-bound legions, reveling in their cruelty and only engaging when the odds overwhelmingly favor them. What makes the Night Lords even more fascinating is the active hatred they received from their Primarch, Konrad Curze, despite him indulging and encouraging their worst tendencies, allowing them to run rampant. Curze despised himself for what he became and also loathed the Night Lords for reflecting his own worst traits. It's interesting to note that, in the end, even these bloodthirsty monsters loved their Primarch, and that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a comment below sharing your thoughts on the Night Lords. I know they can be quite divisive, but I find them truly captivating. Whether you share this opinion or not, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have a fantastic week, and I'll see you in the next video.